Hello, I'm going to show you my classroom that I made for my tab classroom. And bear with me, I am not a good drawer, and I kind of made the classroom maybe a little too bigger than what the room would actually be. And I hope you can see this okay. Sorry, I wrote in pen. I'll try to make it bigger. So when you first come in the room, here's our door. I have to open. And then there's storage all along this wall. I'm going to put that these are cabinets that would have different classroom supplies that we would need for like math and reading and writing, science projects, and everything that we would need for teacher and classroom supplies. These cabinets from like this section that are a little bit darker, they're going to have upper and lower cabinets. And these would be where I would keep all the tab supplies. I'd have one for like paints, one for like paper and construction paper, and anything like that, any different types of papers you need for drawing or painting or like building anything you want to make with construction paper. There would also be below that like scissors that are safe for young kids to use. And in the next cabinet we would have crayons, markers, colored pencils, and like graphite pencils for drawing. And then the last one would be stuff for like clay or sculptures that we would have. And then there's a hot glue station kind of along the wall here. And then I'd have 3 different tables for my tab areas. I'd have one set up for like watercolor painting and, you know, tubs of water and different paints there with several chairs. This one would be for, let's see, clay and clay or sculptures of any type. And then the last one for drawing and coloring. So I set those up just kind of in that corner by the cabinets. And then, let's see, just going this way, I put a display, I put like a bulletin board here that would be a display that they could put their art projects on if they want to leave that. I also forgot to include that on here, but I would put in like an area for a drying rack as well, like for the paintings and things like that need time to dry, or the sculptures, like a storage area for that. And then going over to this corner, again, my drawing is not the best. Art is not my best subject by any means. But I'm going to make this like a classroom library. And I did forget to say this. I think I don't teach in a school, so I'm just kind of going off what I remember from schools and, you know, other schools I looked up online, kind of what they would have. So I made a classroom library that kind of goes in the corner here. And then this is supposed to be a reading nook, with like a rug and a couple chairs and a pile of pillows that they can get comfortable on and read. And then in the middle of the room here, I have all the student desks. I had that, I made a group for like 20 kids, one with 2 groups of 6 and 2 groups of 4. And then going over to this section of the table, my teacher's desk would be here kind of by the front, by the kids' desks. And then, let's see, I also made a couple cabinets back here. I made one that would be like a closet for coats and book bags and things for everyone. And then I also made a cabinet right next to that. And let's see, what did I type on that? Sorry. Oh, just more storage for teacher supplies, basically there. I made a cart. Again, this is kind of hard to see, but this is supposed to be a cart. And that was for like different teacher supplies, like scissors, paper, calculators that we might use for math, different little manipulatives that we might use for math. Excuse me, my phone just fell. And then on the other side here, I have a bulletin board that we would use. Sorry, I'm going to try to get closer so you can see this better. A bulletin board. Just for any class materials or anything that students bring me that they wanted to give me. I also tried to draw like a little cart here. Again, my art skills are not great, so that's just supposed to be like a little cart that we could put computers, Chromebooks, iPads, whatever they have, stored on that and to charge there. And then I just also kind of drew what's in a lot of younger elementary classrooms. So I made a chart area for a daily schedule. Here would be the whiteboard or smart screen, whatever. And I had class rules over here. And then that goes back to the door going out. So again, there's the entire layout which I realized after I made this that, oh, I did forget to say one thing, I guess. I also made like a U-shaped table here that we could use for small groups. I figured that would be good for different reading levels and things in that group, or like for working on different math things, or for anyone that's in the class that maybe had special needs, or English language learners, if they needed more assistance with something, we could take them into small groups there to help. So kind of just explaining all of that. So for my 3rd grade classroom layout, I designed the room to support collaboration, creativity, and student choice, while still keeping everything organized and structured. So I did place at the front of the room my teacher desk facing the students with the whiteboard centered on the wall so that all the students will be able to clearly see the instructions I give them. This helps with whole group teaching, modeling, and giving directions. So the students' desks are arranged in groups, which allows students to work collaboratively and still being close enough for me to monitor and support them. That setup seems to work well for like around 3rd grade age students because they're developing teamwork skills and they benefit from having peer discussion. Along the back and side areas of the room, I included clearly labeled storage cabinets so supplies are organized and accessible without hopefully cluttering instructional space. And then one of the most important parts of the classroom is TAB, or Teaching for Artistic Behavior Centers, that we had again over here in this corner down here where the little tables are and the cabinets over here. And these centers allow students to choose how they want to show their learning, and they could use that across different subjects in an elementary classroom. So I did this as a perspective of like myself, thinking when I was in school. I went to a very small school, and we didn't have a special art teacher at that time. So any art that we did was just with our elementary school teacher. So some examples that I thought of was, for example, like during reading, if we had students doing a reading assignment or a book report, they could choose to do that other ways than just writing a report. They could choose to draw a scene, design a book cover, or build a model of a character or a setting to show their understanding of that. If we were doing history or social studies, students could have the choice to create things like a visual timeline, an artifact, or a model to represent historical events or communities. In science, students might be able to draw diagrams or build a model to show life cycles, habitats, weather patterns. In math, students could use the art centers to model word problems, build arrays, represent fractions, or organize data visually. Student choice is a key part of TAB because it allows students to use that art process that best fits their learning style while still meeting the 3rd grade standards. And as far as any students that need special assistance, these centers are especially helpful for English learners and students that have special needs, because students can show that they understand visually and hands-on. They're not limited by, language or writing ability only. I would support all learners by providing visual directions, modeling steps, offering adaptive tools, and allowing flexible timing or alternative formats if needed. So overall, I think my classroom layout supports inclusion, creativity, and academic learning while giving 3rd grade students multiple ways to succeed and show what they know. Thank you.